Good morning, everyone. Kris here with Inspired Energy. Looks like we have winter out there again, don't we, Hartwell? It's like cold.
Well, yeah, the way it
Yeah,
feels for sure.
exactly. So, good morning.
Good morning.
Um, this morning, you chose to have us discuss about the motors. So, the first one that we're going to look at is the root. So, can you just start off and tell us a little bit about the function of the root center? Like, how does it function?
Yeah, the root center. I mean, of course, this is our second go round of many of these things, but um, the root, as we spoke about before, is both a pressure center and a motor. It relates to stress in our lives. It relates to the pressure to move ahead, to adapt to circumstances, to grow, to evolve.
Right.
And it is an energy that arises out of the adrenal pressure, the adrenal glands.
Hmm.
So it's very important in terms of how we move through the world and what gets us going and what gets us up in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
one of the things that I want to ask you is like, because especially for me, can we avoid stress? Is there some way that
No,
we can avoid it?
no, we can't, Chris.
Oh, darn.
Um, just like emotions are part of our life and the ego energy is part of our life and our higher self is part of our life, so that's a good thing.
Hmm.
None of these are built in.
Hmm.
But when I was thinking about it, I was thinking how people often make a distinction between good stress and bad stress.
Right.
Bad stress is called distress, or when people are freaking out. And
Hmm.
eustress, I think is the word that's been coined for that. EUSTRESS is
Hmm.
often considered like the important or the important side of stress.
Hmm. Yeah.
So really, it's about can we find how do we find that sweet spot where we're responding to stress but not feeling
Hmm.
stressed by stress, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'd like to trade mine. We've got my chart up there today, and I'm like, yeah, I feel stress every day. It's like I always feel pressured constantly to do stuff. And I'm sure that then creates a lot of the issues with health because it's attached to certain parts of the body. Like you said, the adrenal glands, which I believe is responsible for like producing our or affecting our immune system and things like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you can see how being stressed would make people get sick. So, um, how does the root center differ from the other motor centers? Like, what makes it unique?
Well, it's it's a hard to describe thing,
Hmm.
but it's also considered a pressure center, and there's only other one pressure center at like the very top. The very top center is also about pressure.
Hmm.
So not only does it see all the energy in the body seeks to get to the throat so that
Ah.
it can be manifested and expressed. So the pressure from the bottom drives all the energy towards the throat, and the pressure from the head drives it all towards the throat. So when we speak about channels, we speak about the one that's furthest away from the throat,
Hmm.
and then going toward the one that's going towards the throat. So, for instance, at the root center, we would speak about 5818. We don't talk about channel 1858, and that's just a
Hmm.
subtle nod to the awareness that the pressure is coming from the bottom.
Hmm. So,
Okay.
I find that interesting that there's two pressure centers, and this is something I haven't talked to you about before, but I have both of them. So
You
if
do.
you've got pressure from the top and pressure from the bottom, both going to the throat, which one would be more predominant, or which one would be stronger?
Well, I mean, that would be a question for you to ask yourself because you're the one who's experiencing it. Um, Now, I mean, human design calls it a pressure sandwich. We live in a
Mm-hmm.
pressure sandwich.
Oh, well,
But that pressure doesn't have to be a bad thing because stress, as we talk about the root center, that energy handled well, actually it feels great and feels like it connects us to the joy of living.
mm-hmm.
So it's just like emotions can be difficult for people to handle, but
Mm-hmm.
when they're balanced, they add an extraordinary beauty to life.
Yeah, it's like a dance.
Um, right.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is more, um, is there something in your experience which has you feeling imbalanced in terms of the pressure? And of course, we always come back to strategy and authority when we talk this way,
Mm-hmm.
because um, just as a for instance, if somebody handles their stress well, that means they're getting a lot done. They're really driven to evolve and to move forward into life. And they've got what it takes to respond to life in a way where they can adapt successfully.
Right.
So it's like, don't mess with Kris because she's going to get it done. She's going to be able to, when the zombie apocalypse comes along, I want Kris on my team.
Thanks,
Because you're going
Hartwell.
to be able to handle it.
Oh,
To have a defined root means that you're designed to handle stress
okay.
and to do it in a graceful way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a disadvantage. Everything in our design is an advantage, but only if we are aligned with the way it's supposed to be operating.
Right. Right. And we do it in a balanced manner. Yeah, correct. So, one of the other things that you wanted to bring up was about the format channels. So, can you say more about the format channels to us this morning?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite intriguing, this idea of the format channels, because they're the three channels that bridge the root center to the sacral center. So the three vertical channels between those two centers.
Mm-hmm.
And they are, in a sense, they govern or flavor the entire energy of our charts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like sorry, clearing my throat here. This the 52.9 or the 52.43, which is on the left side, is an energy which is cyclical and developmental.
Mm-hmm.
So it's part of the experiential or abstract circuitry, and it causes us to enter into a process that is cyclical, experiential, and developmental. So there's the desire to start things, go through a process, and then come to the end and have it feel complete, and in a sense derive information from that, derive learning and forward movement.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody has the 52.9, the right channel,
Mm-hmm.
then that is a channel that is about logical and focused energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in a sense, this pressure stamps or flavors or the entire chart with an energy of logicality and focus. The need to be, focus in on something to get it done, to do it in a logical, step-by-step way, to tune into the patterns that underlie all of life.
Mm-hmm.
And the middle channel, which you happen to have, the
Mm-hmm.
63, is a channel about mutation. It's a channel of the individual circuitry, which flavors the whole chart with a innovative, mutative, change-oriented energy, which moves in a pulse. So it comes and it goes like a wave. It's unpredictable. When it pulses, it moves through a pulse of change through a person's life. So it is these three channels. Even if you have one gate of those six, it's going to flavor your chart with that theme. And so the whole chart will be read with that at least partly in mind. The energy of the root is so powerful that it would be too powerful to get to the throat by itself. So for instance, all the other motors, the sacral and the emotional and the ego, they all have channels directly to the throat.
Right.
Whereas the root does not. It has to go through the spleen or the sacral or the emotional before it gets to the throat. So it is too powerful and too pure and too, it needs to be modified by its movement through those centers in order to be metabolized, I suppose you could say.
Right. Cool. So what are the particular drives of the root center? Can you talk a little bit about them?
Absolutely. Well, gate 58 is one of my favorites because it's called the gate of vitality. It's the pressure to correct and to perfect, to make things better. So it's like, let's get out there and make things better. Let's improve the world. Let's go for it. The gate of vitality is just what it says. There's an enthusiasm there. There's an excitement there. And there is the energy, the drive, the pressure to make life better.
Right. That sounds
with the 38, which points, we're looking at the ones that point to the spleen first. That is the gate of the fighter. It's the pressure to struggle, to find or struggle for a purpose in life. So the 38 is about being purposeful. It's this pressure to fight for your cause, or if you don't have a cause yet, to find that cause. And gate 54, which is the tribal gate, is the drive to. It's simply called the gate of drive. It's ambition. It is pure ambition. It's the desire to achieve, to rise up, to transform ourselves and to transform life.
right.
So once you tune into these gates, you can often feel their energy in people. What is it that's motivating this person? With gate 53, the gate of beginnings, you have the pressure to begin, the pressure to start new things, and so it's a cyclical thing. Let's do something new. Let's get going. In gate 60 is it's called the gate of acceptance. It's a pressure to mutate, to transcend limitations, to go where no one has gone before.
Yeah.
Star Trek. So it is really fueling. It is fueling that desire for change, that desire to mutate. The 52, the gate of inaction, is the pressure to focus one's energy, to concentrate, to kind of bring it down to a focus so that it can then lead us to a penetration of the logical pattern and help us move, in a sense, take that logical pattern and move forward with it in life. So concentrate on something and to bring the power of that focus to life. On the other side, heading towards the solar plexus, we've got gate 41, the gate of contraction. This is a pressure to feel and to desire, the desire for new experience. So on the one side, we had gate 58, which is the desire to improve life. And here we have the desire, just the raw desire for new experience. the pressure to what's new, what's around the corner, what's over the top of the hill.
Right.
Gate 39, or the gate of provocation, is the pressure to find passion and spirit in life. The pressure to emote. It's like, let's get people going. Let's get them pumped up. I don't know. It makes me think a little bit of a, Anthony Robin energy, or, sometimes you go to these rallies and it's like, let's find the spirit. Let's, and that desire to find what's worthwhile in life, the desire to find the spirit, that's the gate of the provocateur. It's like, the energy to provoke somebody to find out what they're made of. Are you going to respond to me with doom and gloom and depression and resistance? Or are you going to rise up and say, yeah, let's do it? Something like that. And gate 19, the gate of wanting, is the pressure to pay attention to people's basic needs. Do they have enough food? They have enough. Do they have shelter? Do they have enough resources? Are they being taken care of on an emotional, level, on a spiritual level? So it is the pressure to be aware of what it is we need in order to feel connected in the world.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of information there. Like, I'm trying to take it all in because I have so many of them.
Yes. Well,
it's interesting though that you can see where all the pressure comes from, and how it builds up, and which ones I'm attracted to get, like, have an electromagnetic connection with another person on. So,
yeah.
Especially the gate of wanting, because being in community, that would very much help me connect that channel, I would think. When you're trying to,
well, in that area, you think about it this way: what you provide for your group and your community, that which you are defined in. So our definition is our gifts. So it's like you've got so much covered there, Kris, that it's not your job to worry about the 1949. I mean, somebody else has to do that job.
Yeah,
You've already got all sorts of stuff covered.
Yeah.
I mean, that would hook up with the gate 3740 for you, which is about, wanting to be warm and welcoming and connected to community, because it's the channel of community. So you do have that desire to be part of the bargain and to be involved with groups and with people. But your gift is not to tune into people's individual needs. That's not
right.
Not your job.
Exactly. But it's somebody else's job, but I'm drawn to having them in my group, is what I meant. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else that you want to talk about the root center, the root motor center for today?
Well, all I would like to do is give us a gentle reminder, because we always need to be reminded. When you live out your design well, then you bring the world into harmony.
Right.
And you do that by living through your strategy and authority. But when when you're out of sync with yourself, then you're going to be bringing disharmony into the world.
Right.
So where you have your definition, you're going to be, as a person who is really very driven, and I use that in a good way. Your drive can really pressure other people. It can stress people out, because they'll be amplifying you. When you are in alignment, then it energizes people all around you.
Fabulous. So do you know what we're going to be talking about next week?
Well, next week, maybe we'll talk about the gates of the sacral next week. Okay. Continuing our motor theme.
Perfect. Well, with that, I guess you and I will say so long. God bless. Try to stay warm out there, and sending you lots of love.